and try to think about how to put back into the community, so that like, you know, these things, these conferences don't have to always be focused on just the B-Girls, right? We're also like including things like an open battle and ideas, like so that we can bring the B-boys to come, right, and be there, and not just show support, but also to be beside these B-Girls.
No, but let's not gloss over those workshops, because you guys are going to be, I mean, you touched on it a little bit, but you guys are going to be, you know, giving the B-Girls some game that they can take back to their scenes, and that they can use to develop. Touch on some of these directly linked to dancing topics that you guys are going to be covering during these 3 days.
Yeah, like we're looking at like community development and developing or building the capacity for these B-Girls to, like, if they wanted to go back to the city to do something different, right? Like they can train as B-Girls, and that those resources are there, right? They can connect with the B-boys in their scene, the better ones, and like and develop that way. So those things are there, but it's mostly about like what other things could they do if breaking is not the type, like, sorry, their breaking career is not the top priority, but the community is. So then we're going to be doing things like these developmental workshops, focusing on like maybe as simple as like how to throw an event that just like whatever format, whatever kind of stage that you want to set, like how do you throw that? How do you plan it from the beginning to the end? How do you execute it? We're going to be looking at, you know, sometimes things like how do you get money to throw an event or start a project. So then we're going to teach them how to write grants, the same way that we used this skill to get this grant that gave us the ability to convince Canada Council for the Arts to fund this initiative, right? So how to find grants, how to write grants.
Man, I need to come to that class, man.
and then we're gonna focus on like program development. Like how do you create a program? How do you connect with the community, whether that's a community center or a school? And how do you like convince them to be like let you teach a breaking program, right? How do you sell it, right? But also how do you do it in a way where like it's actually catered to the audience that you're going to have in front of you? Little kids that don't know how to dance, right? The language is different. Like you can be teaching like all these terminologies of breaking, but like it's just simple. Like the reality is like no, like break it down a little bit more simpler, make it a little bit more softer, right? And that way you're going to get more buy-in. So like how to do that, and eventually like we want to focus on like if these girls want to like even, you know, make a career or start a business side of this, is like we're going to be teaching them how to like to think about that. What goes into creating a business around breaking, dancing, arts, you know? So and what's great about all of these workshops is that it's like I say we, but we're just organizing them. We're finding B-Girls or former B-Girls or even the girls that are coming to this conference to run these workshops. And it's because like they have experience. They've been through, you know, that point of their life where they had to actually overcome some barriers because they were girls, right? And then they had to actually do something but they actually did something about it, right? Which is amazing. So they have a lot of experience and they have a lot of things to like share. You know, and we're also going to be like not just doing workshops, we're like I said, we're trying to develop their network so that they actually can collaborate with each other, so that down the road if they need the support, they know that they have the support network. And we're also going to have discussions. Like we want to stimulate the discussion, like what's like this exact topic right here, feminism in breaking, what's that like, right? And should it be,
hold up, that's a big term. We gotta rewind a little bit, Guitar. I saw that and it kind of stood out to me. Now I know that you're not doing that discussion, so I guess I would have to ask the person who's actually facilitating that discussion. But who is facilitating that discussion, and what are they defining as feminism in breaking? So do you know? Like, have you talked to them already about this?
We had a brief conversation, and because they approached us, and we were just like, yo, like if this is something that the scene needs, or this community needs, let's do it. So we had a conversation. It was with Vic Versa out of Montreal. And she approached it with us because they're sort of writing a response paper to an article that came out, and it's just around like this idea that question you just asked me around like should it be focused more on equity, equality? Should it just be a B-girl focused thing, or should B-girls also be just seen as treated equal? And I think the premise to that conversation is just like the idea of this discussion is that they want to get the perspective of all the girls that are coming to this conference, and we invited 16, but it's open to any B-girl that wants to come here. These discussions, these workshops are free, right? So they're going to come and get those and provide their perspective on what they think. And I think the reality is there's going to be those on one end that are going to say like, no, like we need more B-girl focused things. There's going to be people on the other end that are going to be like no, like I think we're in an age where like we should be thinking about more of that equity of like we don't need to just have the focus. We should be treated equally as well next to the B-boy. We shouldn't have to it's just so interesting because like part of the idea of this entire thing was like B-girls, I think anywhere you go, maybe not anywhere, sorry, like my experience is maybe limited in that sense, but what I see is that B-girls are always the afterthought, right? It's like it was like, hey, we're gonna throw this jam, but maybe we should add a B-girl category, right? Versus like, let's just throw this jam, right? And so it's just like,
it's like the gift and the curse, right? The adding of the B-girl category, because it's the gift because it gives them an opportunity to compete against, within a more comfortable group, maybe. Now, of course, some of the more experienced B-girls, as you and I have already touched on, they'll compete against anybody. They don't care. You line them up, they're going to try to knock them down, But then there is that subset of B-girls that aren't as comfortable, and like we've also discussed, sometimes these guys, man, they're not giving any care about who's on the other side. It could be a kid, it could be a girl, it could be their own mama, and they're coming for blood, you know what I'm saying? And that could be very uncomfortable, especially if you're being introduced into the culture, right? So that's the gift is having that, but then the curse is sometimes it is added on as an afterthought, or it's just like, well, the B-girls won't come, so let's just do this so that we can capitalize on that niche market. You know what I'm saying? Because I've heard attitudes like that as well. Yeah, I'm not trying to talk too much because I didn't want to have this conversation so that you can hear me. I want to hear you. But it's like, my greatest hope for you guys is that the females support. Like, they're really going to have to support. And I know I've had conversations and they're like, well, everybody should support. And, why is it just us that have to support? I think the reality is everybody should support, but it should start with you. And I don't mean you. I mean, like, with the B-girl. If it's focused on B-girls, the B-girl should definitely support, right? Could you imagine we're going to do a Canadian jam, and then they're like, well, why don't people from Europe come? Why do we have to support the Canadian jam? Why aren't the Americans here? It's like, well, if you support your own thing, then people will be more likely to do more, like events and, like the things you guys are doing. Yeah. Which is more than just a jam, way more than just a jam, that focuses on this group so that they can maybe reach that equity and equality that they want.
Exactly.
But I digress. I've spoken too much.
No, totally. No, I totally agree with that. It's like that concept of like when you start putting value into what you do, right? So like the idea of like, don't just always do free things, free jams, free gigs, right? But put value into it, right? Then other people are going to start to appreciate that, right? And I agree, like that's when what you were saying is like that's what sort of reminded me of that. Like these B-girls, like the discussion needs to happen first, right?
Oh, those discussions are going to be off the chain. I wish I could be a fly on the wall, because if it goes how it should, those discussions are going to get deep and they're going to be valuable for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Why is the B-girl scene not as big in Canada, right? We have, like, in our registered national dance body, there's 90 breakers registered and 10 of them are girls, right? We throw an event, Battle City, we had 120 participants, 8 of them were female. there is a worldwide what do you call those? Like it was a worldwide, like everyone knows about this event. I'm not going to drop the name of the event, but worldwide event where you submit your videos and then you get chosen to be a top dancer and you just do virtual battles or whatever and then end up going to the finals and everything. But like through that, like there's like again same numbers. You're looking at like I think it was like 30%, like sorry 30 participants from Canada. So that's small, but only like 2 to 4 of them were Bgirls, right? So just like this idea is like the question I think needs to be asked, like what is it, right? And like as a b-boy, I could give my perspective and say this is what I think, but I think it's important that B-girls also have that conversation because they have the experience, right? They have the experience, they know what's going on. Like I only have the outside perspective, and when they start to have these conversations, then they can also come to the community and like tell us like what's going on, like how can we better support you. And maybe it is they're going to be like, well, we don't need as much of these b-girl focused stuff, but we want more of this, like, but we don't know. And sometimes the b-girls don't know, so it's like, let's have a conversation, let's give you some tools and let us know like what we can do to support you, because with everything happening down the road, when it comes to breaking, when it comes to the Olympics, and don't get me wrong, the Olympics is not the end all be all, but it's an opportunity right now. And with that opportunity, you're looking at 2024, where it is about gender equality and sending the same amount of athletes as male to female ratio, right? And in 2028, it's probably going to be the same thing. So the opportunity is there for like more of these b-girls to get involved, to get into breaking, and maybe that's the path they want to go, right? But without understanding why b-girls aren't sticking around, without understanding why, what we can do as organizers, as community members, to better support b-girls, to feel that that they are supported and that they're a part of the scene rather than just like seen as like a unicorn
right
coming into the Cypher, right? So and again, it doesn't have to be Olympics are every 4 years, like that's like, so what's happening within those 4 years around the world, what's happening in your community and your scene.
For more quality content from Beyond the Cypher with Illskillz, don't forget to press the like and subscribe buttons. Also, feel free to follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Beyond the Cypher. Let us know how we're doing down in the comment section, and to make sure you don't miss anything from the channel, smash that notification bell. We appreciate the love and support. Peace until the next episode.